Hello friends, it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. Welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. This is a weekly series that I do here on my YouTube channel to inspire you to break out your pretty papers and make something beautiful. This is, believe it or not, the third week in September 2025. So it is time for our Choose Your Own Adventure card making tutorial. Choose Your Own Adventure is we make 2 cards with 2 different paper collections and the same design. So it's really fun to see how these cards come out. This month we're working, of course, with Simple Vintage Autumn Breeze, and we're bringing back our Graphic 45 season to celebrate, and we're working with the September papers. So what are we making? Well, I've made 2 really fun 6 by 6 pop-up card folios. These use the exact same measurements, and look how great these Graphic 45 papers look with Autumn Breeze. It was such a fun surprise for me to see that. Each has a Prima resin frame on the cover. This one has handmade flowers. This one has some little birdie flowers, but the basic layout is exactly the same. And on the inside, they both have a pocket on the bottom with tea bag, honey crystals, bookmark, and 2 little journal cards. And I did change up the journal cards because I didn't like the green border, but I show you how to do that in the tutorial. So this is the Graphic 45 card. We've decorated our pocket with this little tiny tag and this sweet little bird. So all these goodies go in the pocket. We've got another little pocket here on a flap with a journal card, more room to write a note. You could also tuck a gift card in here if you were giving this as a present. But here's the really fun part. This is one of my stadium style pop-up cards, and I'm going to show you how to build this 4-layer pop-up card. So fun, and we're using both journal cards and ephemera pieces to decorate this. This is so cheery, and it will stand up for display. You just have to have a little something behind it to support it because that frame is heavy. The Simple Stories card looks exactly the same except different papers. So we have a tea bag, honey crystals, a bookmark, 2 little 4 by 6 cards that I've turned into journal cards with room on the back for messages. This beautiful, beautiful Autumn Breeze paper, which I am such a fan of this collection, y'all. It is just so perfectly fall. Here's our little flap pocket with a little journal card, our little turn tab here, and here's our inside pop-up with this adorable little hedgehog, some pumpkins, fall leaves, fall flowers. It's just beautiful and so fun to make. So if you would like to join me on this adventure, stick around because the tutorial is coming up next. Let's go ahead and get started with our Graphic 45 Season to Celebrate card. And from my stash, I found this 12 by 18 cardstock, this brown. So I split it in half at 6 to make 2 6-inch card bases. I scored it at 6 and 6 1/4. Then I folded and I scored at 6, and I trimmed so that I have a 2.5-inch pocket. And this is the inside of our card. So for the cover, I went into patterns and solids, and I cut this 5 7/8 inch square of this sort of autumn rose color. We're just going to build our cover and then set it aside. This is 5 5/8 of cream. And this is from the 12 by 12, and this is 5.5 by 5.5 of the floral. I trimmed out this autumn season from the 12 by 12, and I didn't want to overwhelm with the pink. So I just trimmed inside the little lines, that the margin lines that were on there. And I've matted this just on a piece of scrap brown. This is about 5 by about 3 1/4, 3 1/8, something like that. That doesn't really matter. The only reason I did this was to make it fit inside this Prima frame. And this is one of their ivory resin frames. And what I did was ink it up with brown ink, and then I came in with a patina glaze, hit it with that, spritzed the whole thing with water, and then removed most of the product. So we're going to put our adhesive on this brown. And if you don't have a frame, you can cut one with your dies. Get this on the back. And I want to center this so that we get our autumn season words in there with this pretty, pretty little bird. And that is all I'm going to do there. I trimmed the autumn tag from the 12 by 12 cut apart page, and I'm going to adhere this word here. I cut it in half, and then the other half I'm going to put, I might put this down here actually, and I did ink these edges up pretty heavily. Let's see. So you can see the cover's pretty simple, but I wanted to keep it simple because this is powerful colors and a powerful pattern. And I felt like I needed to do something to sort of neutralize that. I'm just going to try to line this up with the one above it. And I just want the little point to show. Sort of like a little arrow. Get this straight. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right. And now we're just going to glue this whole thing down to the front. There we go. I have these 2 postage stamps from the 12 by 12, and I'm just going to crumple them up a little bit, give them a little dimension so they're not quite so perfect. And I did ink these edges, and I cut these out with my stamp-shaped scissors. I'm going to put a pop dot right here. These are from Button Farm Club, and I'm addicted to these. They are so good. So I took my postage stamps and a vintage button and a little leaf and a little twine string, and it created an embellishment to go right in this corner. I'm just going to press that in place for a moment so that it'll adhere. And then I took some flowers from my stash and some ribbon and created a little floral cluster that I want to sit just about like this, just like that. And that is the cover of our card. That's all we're going to do. I think that's really pretty. I like that a lot. So I'm going to set this aside, and now we'll go to work on the inside of the card. I've cut 2 of these 5 7/8 inch squares from the Patterns and Solids. And I'm just going to start with the bottom where our pocket is. I'm going to glue this down right here. I like this sort of autumn rose color with the brown. I think it's really pretty. On our pocket flap, I've cut some 1 inch by 2 1/4 inch gussets. Gussets are just folded pieces of paper that close the sides of your pocket. The folded edge goes on the outside edge, the cut edge. And the reason I use gussets instead of just plain adhesive is that it gives us the full width of the pocket, and it also allows us to tuck a little bit more inside that pocket. All right, so we've got these lined up, and you can see we don't want them peeking over the top. We don't want them peeking over the sides. So now we'll just put our adhesive here and our adhesive here, and we'll fold this up. Okay, so there's that. To go in the pocket, I did not like, I know I'm really picky, but I didn't like the green on the outside of this month's journal cards. So I used my shape stamp scissors and I trimmed out, I'll show you. And then I'm just matting this on a slightly larger piece of brown cardstock to create sort of a frame. And then the brown goes on a slightly larger piece of cream cardstock. Straight is always good if you can manage it. Here we go. And then this goes on a 4x6 piece of that same kind of autumn rose. All right, and I'm just going to round the corners of this one. And then on the back, I have a 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 inch piece of our cream cardstock. I just wanted to show you how I did that. And this one I'll just show you because it's a little tricky. I used my scissors, but then I used regular scissors to trim here. And of course, this is the reverse side of the one we just did. And I'm centering this on the brown. Then centering the brown on the cream. And then this goes on to a 4x6. And this flower goes right up against the edge. And if you like the green on the journal cards, just do it, you know, just leave them as they are. I just didn't particularly care for the green. I'm also going to put together a little bookmark with my scraps. So from the 8x8, I cut out our border piece, and then I split the autumn rose strip off from the rest of it. This is going to go right along the top of our pocket, like this. Oops. Then I trimmed out this little but first T, because you never know, we might put a tea bag in this pocket. I mean, it's unheard of, but it could happen. And then I got this sweet little bird sticker. I'm just going to add it right here on the pocket. That's so cute. So then our journal cards will go in there along the top. Also from the 8x8, I trimmed out a 5 7/8 inch wide piece of the border. And this is going to provide a little contrast and visual relief from all that autumn rose. So that looks good, y'all. to work up here. This is our pull down pop-up. So I have another 5 7/8 inch piece of the autumn rose, and then I cut 5 5/8 by 5 of the brown cardstock and scored a 1/2 inch along the flap and rounded the corners. I'm going to put adhesive on this flap. I'm going to center it up and adhere it behind this panel. I'm going to put a magnet right here in the center, like that. And put a little score tape over it, just for extra insurance. Okay, and then I'm going to take another magnet, and do you see how it went right to the magnet on the front? And this is going to help hold this flap closed so that it doesn't just go flipping all over the place. It'll stay closed when our card is closed. All right. So I'm going to take this adhesive off. And now I'm going to put my adhesive on this panel. So I've got 2 pieces of my 12 by 12 to 5 3/8 by 4 1/4. And this one is going to glue down right here. That looks good. I'm going to flip this down, remove our adhesive, and this one is going to glue down right here. Now, if you want, you can do this side. I'm going to do this side. And then along the top up here, I've cut I think this is 5 1/2. This is the 12 by 12 border. Okay. So now we're ready to build our pop-up element. Our first piece is a 5 by 4 inch of the Patterns and Solids, and I've scored it at 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to fold this together. I'm going to place adhesive here. And I'm going to put adhesive here. And then I'm going to come in with some 1/4 inch. Actually, I might be able to do 3/8 inch, which is perfect. And go along here. You don't want to overlap, okay? All right. So it's like a little door. Now you're going to fold it so it's like a little book. So I'm going to start with this top. I'm going to remove our adhesive. And we're going to center this right up. In fact, I'm going to fold it so that I know I'm right into the fold. All right. Oops. Not over, but right up there. And then I'm going to fold my card and lift my flap Okay. Now I'm going to take it off this side and do it again. And see, now we have this really nice little pop-up box. So I've taken this 4x4 from the 12x12 and I put a little strip of my tape. I'm going to center this. Oops. Keeping it straight. There, that's better. Okay, so that's like that. I don't want it to say Happy Harvest, so I'm going to take this pretty floral bouquet, and this is the die cut ephemera, and I'm going to put it right in the center, even so it comes up over the top a little bit. Okay, so now we look like this. Now my next one is 4x4, and we're going to do the same thing, score it 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to make your little door, and then you're going to do your little book, and you're going to glue it down just like you did this first one, okay? Okay, so now you've got your next little stair. And let's take this. And I'm going to take this one pretty much all the way down to the bottom. And let's take our little teacup and put it right here. So see, I'm only putting adhesive on the bottom. Only put adhesive where you want it to stick. And you don't want it to stick to the back. See, so now we have this, and we can do one more row. Let's take this piece. That is 3 by 2, and I've scored it at 3/4, 1 1/2, and 2 1/4. And again, we're going to make our little door. I'm only going to put adhesive on this half of our little ticket that says autumn. I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to come in with my darling little bird. So now you get this really fun dimensional pop-up when you open your card. For our front flap, I took this 3x4 journal card from the 12x12, and I matted it on a piece of brown cardstock that was a 1/2 inch wider on 3 sides. And then I scored around that. I cut the corners like you just saw me do, and we're going to put this down. And this is going to be a little pocket. And it's going to go right here. Let's go all the way over to the edge. Let's go. Okay. And then I took this 3x4 journal card and matted it on cream. and it will just slip inside. So that's a really fun little interactive feature. We're going to glue the cover on and we're done. So our cover is right here. So it's a heavy card because of that resin frame, but it is so pretty. So that's how you make this card base. I'm going to do everything on Choose Your Own Adventure card number 2 except the cover, and we'll build the cover together. But you see how to do this now. I showed you with this collection, and it will be, all the measurements and everything will be the same. For the Autumn Breeze, it will just be, wow, this weighs like a pound, you guys. It will just be different papers. All right. All right, friends, the second card with our Simple Stories Autumn Breeze is going to go very quickly. You can see the cover is exactly the same right down to the frame. And I used some of the Simple Basics gingham in the back, added in some ephemera, same little bow. I had to use a different bow over here because I ran out of that ribbon. And these are handmade flowers from leftover from last week's banner project. So that's the cover. Everything is the same. All the measurements are the same. Here's our pocket down here with a little bookmark. And I used these 2 4x6 cards. I cut them down to 3 3/4 by 5 3/4 and then matted them and added a little sentiment panel on the back. These go in this bottom pocket. I used this upper right hand corner of a 12 by 12 sheet to fill in the background here. Here is our flip little pocket with a little journal card tucked inside there. Magnets are placed the same way. Everything's the same. So now we come to the inside. And I'm just going to make some room here. All of these pieces, some are floral ephemera, some are bits and pieces. But all these little pop-up pieces are ephemera. So remember, we make our gatefold, then we turn it into a book. All right. And then we peel off our tape. I figured this is the hardest part, so this is the part I wanted to go over with you. I'm going to center this. You come right up. Press that down. Take this tape off. Put our flap up. And this one is, again, this one is, I believe, 5 by 4, scored at 1, 2, and 3. All right. And then we've got this beautiful ephemera that we're going to put, let me see, how do I want this to go? I think like that. So I'm just going to put adhesive along the edge, just like that. And I want to put this right here. And then I have this beautiful leaf that I'm going to tuck in. I think I want it to go like that. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on this stem and a little bit right there. And tuck that into place. And that is so pretty. And then close. Okay. So there's our first layer. Second layer is this adorable little hedgehog. And this one is, I think it's just 3 by 4 scored at 1, 2, and 3. Here's our little doors. Turn it into a little book. And I want this to go right here. Okay, now take this off. And close that flap. And there's our second little pop-up. So I'm going to need to put some adhesive right here on our leaf. There we go. And right there. Okay. So our little hedgehog, I'm going to actually cut this little layer off right here. And he's going to go right there. That's cute. And I want him to go all the way down to the bottom. And then just close my flap. Okay. All right. And this is a little one. This is just 2 by 3. So I scored it 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4. Okay. And this is going to go right here. All right. And now this flap is going to go up. I think what I'm going to do is cut around this pumpkin. Just so that will fit. Yeah, that's better. Push that over there. Oh, that's so cute. And then I have one. I think I can fit this one in. So we'll make our book. I'm going to make this a little shorter. And I'm actually going to put this up against my hedgehog, I think. All right. And again, I'm going to do make that more even on the bottom. And that's going to go right there. That's really pretty. So I'm only going to put my adhesive here. And take it all the way over. All right, guys. There you go. I love these dimensional pop-ups. And the really cool thing is this can lay out like on display like this, or you can actually stand it up like a card, whichever way you want to go. So there we are, friends. Choose Your Own Adventure for September 2025 with Simple Stories Autumn Breeze and Graphic 45 Celebrate the Season. You know, I never thought these two collections would look good side by side, but they look terrific. I'm really excited about that because that means these cards can go out kind of as a display. They could sit together as a display. They are so beautiful and so much fun to make. I'll be back next week with Wind Back Wednesday. And I think we will be using Graphic 45 Autumn Greetings to make something really beautiful. I'll put a linked supply list on my blog and a link to my blog in the description box below this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining me here today. All right, friends, see you next week. Go get your craft on. Bye.